Hello, everybody.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Today we're going to talk about deliverance. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk about deliverance. And the person of choice that we went to was Daniel Adams. We watched him on TV for about a year. And yeah, I was thinking to myself, like, how am I going to get in contact with him? And then one day he said he was coming to Detroit. So we did a lot of research on him. We did a lot of studying of what he did and what he believed in. Mm-hmm. We probably watched over 100 deliverance services, and we were scared to try it, but we was like, we going.
Yeah, I mean, like first sight on seeing these videos, I would never thought that I would have been ended up at one of these deliverances, but it was definitely a good experience, a crazy experience. Yeah, so it was definitely a supernatural experience, something that is, if you explained it to somebody, they wouldn't even believe you. It's something like you really would have to be there.
Yeah, you would definitely have to be there because we wasn't prepared for what we saw. It was if an average person would have went there, they might have been a little scared.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it would have, because I was still a little scared.
Yeah, it was.
And by average person, we mean a person in the world, still that,
And you probably would have thought it was fake, but it wasn't fake because it happened to us. Now let's tell the story of how we ended up there. Because we went the first time together.
So the first time we went in there and we did a prayer before we went in. We kind of was just so eager and so ready to be delivered. And I think that's what got to us. We was just so eager and anxious. We never really stopped to clear our minds and our a lot of stuff that you're holding on to before you get delivered. You kind of want to pray against that stuff and kind of try and clear that stuff out before you do it. But we weren't in the right mindset as far as that because of the excitement.
And our expectations was high.
Yeah.
That was what it really was. Our expectations was high, and when we got there, it didn't go how we thought it was going to go.
So what happened was first my wife got hands laid on her and prayed for her, and she was going through the cycle. So we go in this church, was in Flint, I believe.
No, not in Flint. It was in Detroit first.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, it was in Detroit first. We go in this church and it's full, it's packed. Right away you kind of just feel energy. You just feel the energy. You feel, I would say you feel God's presence. And we were just kind of just waiting patiently at first, waiting for him to look at us and ask us what we wanted to be delivered of, and the normal cycle. We were just so anxious, and it seemed like it was taking forever.
Yeah, so I felt like I stood up the whole night, and we was there from 8 o'clock to it seemed like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
We was there all night, and
straight.
It was so many people in line. We was waving him down hey. Yeah, we were waiting for what seemed like forever, and my husband said that I touched him.
She touched him. She touched
his
arm.
I was trying to tap him and say, pick us, and he just wasn't.
Hold on, I'll get to you. And then
he was doing his job.
The wait continued.
But I was manifested at that time. I was getting mad. I was angry.
We should not have gotten that angry. And hope God, Lord forgive me, because we got very angry. So if we would have gotten, well, actually we did, but yeah. You shouldn't be angry at a deliverance. You shouldn't be anything but open and ready to be delivered at a deliverance.
Yeah.
But anyways, so first my wife we finally got to him, and my wife had gotten seen, and she had got touched first, and he was praying over her.
And what happened?
And she fell. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, whoa, we in this. We here.
And then he came to you right after.
Well, first I walked over because I was checking, I was looking, I was curious, but I didn't want to mess up anything, so I couldn't even be like my protective self and get down there and make sure she was okay. I was kind of trying to let them, finish their job. So he ended up, praying over a little bit, but then he walked away to I think he came to me right after. If not me, he went to someone else, then me. But he sent a couple women over to finish praying for me. So she's after he's walked away from her, and he has his team go over and start praying for my wife and trying to finish off the job. He ends up coming to me, and off rip, I'm already like in my mind, I've seen all these, deliverances. I've seen movies. In my mind, I'm telling myself, you do not go down to the ground until something makes you, until a force makes you go to the ground. You don't fall. I'm telling myself, you are not going to be overly dramatic. You are going to stay as straight as you can,
but that power took that butt down to the ground.
Let me explain. So what? Okay.
I'm gonna do it after, cause you ain't telling the truth.
I wasn't done. I'm
still go. Daniel puts his hand on me, and when he did, immediately I felt myself speaking, but it wasn't by my control, if that makes sense. And I'm like, no, it's like a horror movie. Like, it was so freaking weird. It was like I just had no control over myself. And I'm like, no, get away from me. No, I'm not letting her go. I was screaming all this crazy stuff. And I felt like I was on the ground rolling around like I was the exorcist. But I wasn't. All I can do was I looked up at my husband, and he was getting prayed on, and he fell. That's all I can remember. But I was manifesting that whole time. So I was getting prayed for, and this thing went on for me for at least. So I got deliverance went on for me for at least 2 hours.
Uh-huh. I remember because
I'm screaming, I'm crying.
I was sitting behind you the whole time.
Yeah.
Were, like, talking to you, and
he touching me. He's talking, come off of her. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? It was totally scary. I was like, for real, like terrified, because I'm like, what is inside of me? And as I was getting asked questions, I was speaking, but like I said, it wasn't me. And they was asking me, he asked me, he asked the demon, when did you come inside of her? And the spirit was like, I've been around through her bloodline. And the name of the demon, what it said it was Ashereth. And that my whole family was basically into witchcraft. Big deal. And he was asking me, about my bloodline. He was asking me to come back. So it was like the demon had a chance to talk, and I had a chance to talk. So he would ask me, what do you know about your family? Do you know that they were in witchcraft? Which I didn't know. I had a hint, but I didn't know, because I remember them doing little odd things when I was younger, but I wasn't clear on it, And he was telling me basically that the spirit said that, I could hear the spirit talk. The spirit was saying that it was worship as Asherah for my family, and I was basically, how can I put it? I was hers because I was owed to her. So I belonged to her, and the spirit said it was not leaving. So they prayed for me for 2 hours, going on 3 hours into the light. So until the lights went off, everybody was leaving, and they still was praying over me, and they could not get this spirit off. The spirit just kept saying, no, I ain't going nowhere. She is mine. And it was saying, I'm her only friend. I make everybody hate her and all of that. And it was in this growling voice. It was very scary. And my husband was looking like, I gotta go home. And I was like, Dad, I know he gonna be scared, because I would be scared. A demon? Yeah. So that was that night. So we was mad when we went to sleep and woke up. Well, actually on the way home we was mad.
He asked what I wanted to be delivered of, and I told him and he started praying for me, and you know, I felt something, but at first I was just like, I'm not sure. Like, so I think I was fighting it, and then like at one point I went to the ground, and it was almost like I blacked out. But by the time I like opened my eyes to see what was going on, there was like nobody around me. So I was like, I felt like I was abandoned at the time. Like everybody else had gotten prayed for after, and like, you know, checked on after. So I was kind of down about that. So that kind of discouraged me. So on the way home, on the way back, we was kind of discouraged, kind of just, you know, in our feelings and our emotions.
Because I did all of that. I was exposed. The demon was exposed and everything, and it was still there. So I had to go to sleep with it.
Yeah, and it was like I felt like mine wasn't complete because it wasn't finished. I went to the ground, but it's like I didn't witness anything come out or anything like that, and you know, I just didn't feel like how I expected to feel after. But so the next day, you know, we went about our regular day. It was like, you know,
we still was upset too. We was upset. We was talking about it the whole day. The whole day. I called my dad. My dad and my uncle called me back. My uncle is a pastor. He was like, "Don't go to churches getting deliverance and stuff. Don't let nobody touch you. Don't do that." And he scared me more. He's like, "Don't do that again," or whatever.
And I'm just angry, basically, like upset with myself for wasting my time. Like I felt like I just, you know, wasted a whole day, a whole tank of gas. You know, I'm just beating myself up at this point. So I'm trying to go on about
they not
the day.
real, they fake.
We
were saying all of that.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like go on about the day, like, so I'm not like, you know, just being angry with everyone. So we had a couple assignments that we still needed to do around the house. So we ended up starting to paint our it was the dining room. We had to paint the dining room. So
we started to do that.
Started painting.
Now, Daniel was going to be there for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Saturday, my friend went. And she was like, "Where you at, Keon? Why you ain't here?" I was like, "I ain't going." She like, "Why?" I was like, "I ain't have a good experience." And my dad told me not to go back. So we like, so I'm like, you know what, I ain't going. But something told me, turn the TV on, because he always go live. So I turned the TV on, and I started feeling regret. Like, wow, I'm not there. So I'm telling my husband as we paint, and I'm like, "Darren, I think we should have went." He like, "I'm never going again. I'm never letting no one make me feel abandoned like that." He was really in his feelings. He like, I ain't doing it.
Yeah, that's like a fear of mine. Being abandoned is like a big thing of mine. And at that point, that's how I felt. So I was like, I'm not going to let him do it again. So I'm like, my mind is set. I'm not going back. I look up, she gone.
No, that's not how it happened. So my girl kept saying, you know, "I think you should be here. You need to get here." She's like, "The spirit up in here today." I'm like, "The spirit was here yesterday." And I'm like, "Nah, I ain't trying to hear that." And at the live, I'm telling my husband, like, I think we should have went. We should have just went. And he like, "No, I ain't going." So my girl called me again, and I'm getting this stir. I'm talking about a stir in my spirit, like I can't even explain. Like, go. So I'm like, Darren, with paint all over my face and my hands. I was like, "Darren, I think I should go." He like, no, don't go, babe, because I'm not going with you. I'm like, "Well, I'm going by myself." So I'm like, I run.
I told you not to go.
You did? You told me that
I said
too?
I wasn't going.
Well, you told me that you said, "I don't think you should go," or it was something like that. And I was like, "I'm going." So I'll be like, I'm running out the house with paint all over me, and my daughter is in the other room. She like, "I'm gonna go with you." And we drove to the Deliverance thing. So when we get there, I'm looking crazy because, like I said, I got paint all over me. I don't even care. But when I walk in, the lady that was praying over me the first night, she was like, "Hey, you came back?" I'm like, "Yeah," because she was praying with me for the whole night. And I meant to tell y'all this. As I was praying, I was singing. I don't know how, but I was. So the lady said, Daniel, because I think they was getting ready to start closing. They was cutting off the live, and that's the part that my husband got to talk about too. So I get up to the live, and he comes at me first, and he's like praying over me, and the next thing I know, I fall again. This time I was speaking in tongues, and he had told me the previous night that you speak in a demonic tongue, you're not speaking a godly tongue. So I started doing it again, and I'm praying, but I'm weak. The demon was weak from yesterday for them 3 hours of prayer. So I'm all in. I'm in my emotions. I got my emotions everywhere, to be honest. And my daughter looking at me, and Daniel touched me, and he was like, I remember this demon from yesterday. I remember you. Get off her back. And he walked away. He did that. And then I'm over there, and I'm crying. I'm on the floor again, praying. And then my daughter was like, excuse me. She had stopped one of the other girls, and she was like, my mom is crying, and she's speaking in this language again. Can you help her? And this girl, oh my God. I always bring this girl up to my husband. She was heaven sent. I swear. Because when she came over there, I felt the warmth and love of God. I felt it on her. And she was so calm with me. And she just started praying over me and praying over me and praying over me. So she's praying over me and stuff. And next thing I know, I started feeling something come up my throat. It was feeling like it was going through the different sections of my throat. And next thing I know, I'm throwing up. And cried at the same time. The lady just looked at me. She said, I'm so proud of you. I was like, what? I got throw up all over my face. I'm so proud of you. Then she gets up and she walks away after she had said all of those things. She said, wait a minute. She said, you know how to sing, don't you? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I'm going to anoint your voice. She said, you will use your voice, but this time for the kingdom. And then she walked away. And that was it. Like, my friend got her prayer for her. She didn't really get delivered that night. Her mom got prayed for. He told her that she was molested as a child. She didn't even remember it. And my daughter gets prayed for her, and I believe she fell too. She fell back. Yeah, she fell back too. And that was that. Then I came home and I told Derek, it happened. I got delivered. I felt light. I felt so good. I was like, it happened. And my husband tells me that he was watching on live and he saw me when I came in the building. And then what happened?
So I'm at home, and previously she was already watching her friend on the TV. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I can do is watch my wife. I can at least watch her. Do that. So I turns on the TV and I'm watching. I don't see her yet, and then I finally see her come through the corner. I'm like, okay, there she is, and I get all giddy. The anger kind of goes away because, like, whether it's just like a little recording, live streaming or whatever, my wife's on TV. So yeah, like my experience was I'm at home. And I'm like, I already didn't go, and I'm still angry, but I'm like, I'm gonna at least watch my wife. So I'm all excited. I turn the TV on, and well, it's already on, but I see her come out the corner, entering the entrance of the church, and I'm like, okay, there's my wife, and I'm all excited. She's on TV, a little live streaming, but I'm still excited. And so I pause the painting, and I sit in front of the TV, and I see her being brought up to the front, making her way to the front, and I see Daniel putting his hands on people, making his way to her, and they're kind of meeting up like at this center. And then I can see the woman tell him like, hey, it must have been like she's back, or she came back, or I need you to pray for her, whatever the sayings was. He started basically praying for her. I saw him literally about to put his hand. So as he's literally putting his hand on my wife's head, the stream goes off. And I am livid. I threw the remote. I'm screaming like, what the heck? I can't even watch. I'm angry. And I'm livid. I threw the remote. I'm like, I can't even watch my wife. She's getting delivered, and I'm here. And then I humbled myself because I'm like, what if that was God? What if that was him saying, hey, I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of seeing her get delivered. and then you go get delivered. That's just that you're seeing the proof. I think he wanted to see more of my faith. And then I was like, or it could have been the devil. Because the devil could have just been not wanting me to see the proof of the deliverance and not wanting me to go back and get delivered. It could be one of the two. But if it's my father, I'm not about to upset him. So I took the attitude away. And I waited for my wife to get home to tell me the story. And of course, I felt resentment. I wanted to go now because she got what she wanted. So so she got what she wanted. So I felt like I would have received what I was wanting to. So I was kind of down after that. And we looked up, like, just coincidentally, my wife looked up, like, other places that he would be, like, if he would be in our vicinity again, like, even if we needed to travel, as long as he wasn't too far. Yeah, so it was going to be in Port Huron, so, which was about an hour away, so I was like, I want to go. I was like, and at the time, like, the car wasn't even in the best condition, but I'm like, we going. I want to go.
We hammered that gas.
We filled that tank up.
Even though I had already got my deliverance, my husband said he wanted to go. We made sure we was there. I made sure that he got his deliverance too.
We went. We gassed up the car. We put some air in the tires. Made sure we was good on that, and we got on the road, and we took a trip. We drove, we listened to our prayer music.
And we had it on live, too.
Mm-hmm.
We had it on live again, because we was like, we got to get fired up. Right. You know how you get fired up to go somewhere else? We got fired up to go to church.
Mm-hmm. And we get there, and at this point, I'm like, okay, no more emotions. Bring no emotions in here with you. You just come in willing and ready to be delivered. So we waited in the line, which wasn't too long. The church was smaller. When there wasn't too many people this time. So we waited in the line. We got there kind of towards the end. So he finally gets up to us. And we go through the same thing again. But this time, he actually spends some time on me. And in my mind, I'm like, if I go down, I'm going down because there's a force that moves me. I'm not going to let anything else push me down. So if he tries to put any force, because I'm thinking, like 20%, it might be phony, So I'm like, if I feel any force, I'm gonna call him out. But he starts praying for me, and he puts his hand on me, and I go back, and I come back forward, like, and he's like, okay. He starts praying again. He puts his hand on me, and I go back again, stumble back a little bit, come back forward. And he starts speaking in tongues, and he's praying for me, and I go to the ground. And I kind of do the blackout thing again where I blacked out, but someone had came over me and put like this little sheet thing over me, and I was instantly getting prayed over. So afterwards, after they had did all their, the little process that they go through, Daniel asked me, like, how do you feel? And the only thing that I could think of was, like, I felt clean and pure at the time. And he's like, congratulations, shook my hand, and I just was grateful.
So at that time, I saw this other guy, he was, like, off to the side. He was the drummer, I think. And he was praying for this other guy. I was like, Darian, you need to go to him. Let her pray for you, too. So remember, I had got deliverance, but it was another forerunner, that's what they're called, who prayed for me as well. So I was like, you know what? Let one of the forerunners pray for you, because I saw him praying for somebody and he was going in. He was like 18 years old. He was saying, in the name of Jesus, this and that. He was like, come on. He was doing all that. I was like, pray, go to him. And my husband did.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, he seemed like a decent guy. He seemed, I was kind of drawn to him after she showed him to me. I was like, yeah, actually, he does seem like he'd be a good person to pray for me. So I went to him and I was like, hey, would you mind praying for me? He was like, hey, no problem. He was just so nice and just willing and ready, because he pulled out that oil out of his pocket.
He pulled out the holy oil.
And was like,
that's what he did.
Put that hand on my forehead and started speaking in tongues. And yeah, so And after he put his hand on my head with the holy oil and was praying and speaking in tongues, I went to the ground again. And I remember being down there for a while, and he's still praying, he's still going, he's consistent, man. He just wasn't stopping. And, you know, after a while, I just started feeling an urge to cough. So I'm coughing. Like, man, coughing for? Keep coughing. Next thing you know, I'm dry heaving. Nothing's coming up. And he's still going at me, still praying. Next thing you know, he passes me a trash can as if he
like
knew.
Like how he knows,
yeah,
right?
He
they be knowing when you about to throw.
And he gave me the trash can, and I was, everything just came up, and something told me to look in the can, and it was green. And at that time, I was battling an addiction to marijuana, so I knew what it was. And I just was so grateful, and I was sweating, and I felt clean and pure again. So yeah, I knew what it was, and I was just grateful, and I was just thanking him and thanking Jesus, and he was just grateful that he could help me, and he was thanking Jesus, and it was just a beautiful experience to be able to go home after that, you know, with what you went for. And I gotta tell you, after that, like, a lot of things have changed in the household of Madison. I can tell you that.
And I got prayed for again since I was there, because I was just waiting on my husband. You didn't even tell that part.
Right, I didn't.
I was waiting on my husband, and a lady came up to me. She was like, "Why you waiting? You want to get prayed for her?" I was like, "Sure," because I had already got delivered.
And she down again.
Down on the floor like I ain't been on there
right
already.
With me. At the same time I'm getting delivered, she getting delivered again.
Again, she like, "What you want me to pray for?" I was like, "Spirit spouse." And she was like, "Okay." And then once again, the demons start talking out again, talking about they ain't letting me go. And next thing I delivered for, I said spirit spouse. And next thing I know, I was doing that same thing. The demon was talking out of me. And she was like, "Nah." She was like, "Look me in my eyes." And I wouldn't look her in her eyes. I kept doing like, "No, no, no." And she was like, look, you want it out, right?" She was like, "Look at me." And I started looking at her. And I swear it felt like her eyes were swimming pools. The bluest swimming pools I ever seen. And I was looking. She was like, "Come out of her now." And the demon came out, and I threw up again. And my daughter got delivered that day. My daughter, the 8-year-old, she fell out too. And it just, that was crazy because all three of us was on the floor at the same time getting prayed for.
Yep.
And they was like, the whole family down in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. We was cracking up and laughing, but man, I slept like a baby.
So yeah, and then, you know, after the experience, a lot of stuff started just changing at home. You know, there had been a lot of bickering and a lot of tension in the air, you know, just from a lot of the stuff that we was going through. And, you know, it happens, but it's like there was like a calming energy over the house. Like everything was smooth from that point. Like,
yeah, because we used to cuss at each other, like say bad words to each other. And now we don't say one word. We be like, "And darn it, and you wrong, and ding, we don't cuss." Yeah. And that's amazing for somebody that cuss like sailors.
Yeah, and it's almost like when I hear it, it's like,
I'm sensitive, like, oh, watch your language.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
You know, so I just thank God that He allowed us to be able to attend that deliverance and be able to be transformed.
God, for sure.
Be transformed, because that's literally what happened. We were transformed, and it was just a great experience. And you know, a lot of stuff happened. I think you got something to tell.
So yeah, after that, I don't cuss. I don't drink. I might have been drinking before. I don't remember, because we stopped doing a lot of stuff.
I think we were slowed down at the time, but we were still occasionally
indulging in some sin. But I don't do none of that now. Never smoked, but you know, I just changed completely. And as far as the anointing that she did on my voice, I'm thinking now, I would have never expected to do that. I have songs out. I'm writing. My husband's singing with me. And we doing some work, some major things for God. Everything is centered around Him. And one thing I do want to say, I expected that once I got delivered, everything would be taken away. But no, everything is not taken away. You have to work at deliverance every single day. It's things that's been attached to you for so long. You have to keep working at it. And you get deliverance from God's word. You get deliverance from praying and fasting, because some things don't come out unless you fast. So I had to learn that through God's word. And I'm able to now be able to say, okay, I have this problem. Let me go to God about it. And now I feel so much better to know deliverance is a daily thing. And God does that. God is in control of your deliverance. So we can't just depend on... So we had to take a brief break because our kids acting up. But I meant to say that I had a dream before I got my deliverance that I was going to be delivered. I dreamed that I was getting delivered in my dream, and it was like a window on the side of me, and I was able to look in the window, and I looked in the window as I was coughing and rolling over, and it was an ugly, disgusting demon. So I did mean to put that in there, and I didn't, so I had to add that just to let you guys know. So yeah, I know now that deliverance is of God, of the Lord. So he's in control of that. He knows what you need deliverance for. You have to ask him. You have to have a whole relationship with him. And he will deliver you. He will. So, anything you want to say?
I second that. He's delivered me from many things so far. And I'm just excited to see what else he does for me in the future. And I'm just grateful. And hopefully you guys got something from the video. Hopefully it persuades some people to maybe get delivered, you know. Other than that,
that's it. Get deliverance. It's definitely needed.
Yes.
And we'll see you next time.